Hello everyone and welcome back to my Bold and Beautiful 29 YouTube channel. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Brook was demanding that Ridge choose between her and Taylor on the spot. His original response was to look like a jock and deer caught in headlights, doubtful of what to say, but also loving the rush of the situation. Fast forward to now, and an analogous situation is playing out between Brook, Ridge and Taylor. But it's indeed more ridiculous now, and not just because both of these women are smart and beautiful. After their most recent reunion many times agone, Ridge and Brook swore to each other that this was it, for life. They had been through enough, with each other and with other loves, and now understood that they were meant to stay together. Brook declared Ridge her fortune, and for quite a while it wasn't believable. Since Ridge's zipper has generally been the problem, perhaps he eventually progressed and saw the treasure of a woman in front of him. Perhaps that stopgap was short-lived because the moment that the couple had a real problem, he did what he always does: he set up comfort nearly incontinently in bed with Taylor rather than working through effects at home. Ridge cannot stand to be alone, and he generally tries to justify his solecisms to Brook and condemn her for them. This time around has been far worse than all the others because Ridge has fully devastated Brook's son, Hope. In real life, there would be no coming back from the effects that he has said. No matter what Hope has done, you just don't resort to calling your stepdaughter names and anticipate Brook to stick around. That should have been a deal swell right there, because the man that's your fortune wouldn't deign that low, would he? Taylor is supposed to be a world-famed shrink who can outsuppose all of us, but boy, does she have a real eyeless spot for the father of her children. Ridge has conformed with her, only to run right back to Brook so numerous times that it contributed to her broken heart pattern. He felt shamefaced enough for the pain that he'd caused her that he actually was invested in helping her to physically heal. Gal was the lamp for womanish commission and life without a man for a solid 3 weeks before Ridge crashed into her life, as usual. The smart croaker knew exactly what happened with Brook, and after advancing Ridge an observance, a shoulder, and everything differently she ever allowed. That this time would be different. Supposedly Taylor didn't read the psych book that teaches that the description of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, and awaiting a different result. Taylor's response to the selfish man who came back to her, promising a future that he probably knew he wasn't going to keep, should have been a hard pass. Rather, she decided to play house and has induced herself that this time effects are going to end else. The reality is that Taylor is likely to end up with a real broken heart, again. Is Ridge the only man in Los Angeles, or are we just supposed to believe that he's top league and worth fighting over, despite his jest? Either way, then we're with Brook demanding that he pick one of them to spend ever with. Ridge is acting like a selfish child, and perhaps that's exactly why Brook uses her inner voice with him. It's like hearkening to a mama try to reason with her 5-time-old who has just done commodity wrong. Still, her fortune, also perhaps they earn each other, if that's Brook's interpretation of the love of her life. Perhaps it's time for Taylor to move her brown wardrobe and cumbrous shoes off of the Forrester estate for good. Ridge might pop the question to Taylor, which could consolidate Brook's heartbreak. Although Brook tried to revitalize her relationship with Ridge and convert him to return, he eventually turned her down, telling her his place was with Taylor. Ridge conceded that he still harbors passions for Brook to some extent, but he sees her as a chapter of his history now. He's forcefully looking toward the future with Taylor, standing by the pledge they made to one another. Given Ridge's fidelity to this idea of commitment, he may be ready to take the coming big step. Still, proposing might be on the horizon, if he's serious about spending his life with Taylor. In fact, Steffi could veritably well encourage Ridge to make that offer in the near future. Still, it could truly shoot Brook into a breakdown. Formerly devastated by Ridge's departure, witnessing him marry Taylor would only consolidate her pain. If Ridge decides to buy an engagement ring for Taylor and surprises her with a sincere offer. There was a moment when Ridge considered divorcing Brook, but those plans ultimately fell piecemeal. He eventually sounded to believe that another marriage was demanded, which means Brook is likely to feel indeed more hurt if he chooses to have that form with Taylor. This situation may leave Brook scuffling with passions of inadequacy, questioning why Ridge no way saw her as meritorious of being his woman. Again, it's relatively presumptive that Ridge may want to solidify that commitment by proposing to Taylor, paving the way for their unborn together as a wedded couple. However, could that eventually encourage Brook to move on? If Ridge and Taylor partake any engagement news. While a reunion between Brook and Ridge may feel fated, she might also discover new love along the way, that would presumably be stylish for Brook. In any case, Ridge has been oral about his intentions to produce a lasting relationship with Taylor, leaving Brook in the history. Let's see how long it lasts before he waffles. Ridge lately made a huge romantic decision, but we've to ask, is Taylor broken heart pattern the real reason Ridge chose her over Brook? After Brook made her reunion pitch, Ridge's response didn't exactly make Taylor feel like the great love of his life. B&B suckers heard a lot about Ridge's commitment to Taylor, but recognizing a commitment doesn't mean she's the woman he truly wants. That actually made it sound like Ridge would have taken Brook back if he hadn't formally committed to Taylor. In other words, Ridge is in too deep to back out now, and there may be a veritably good reason why. When Rebecca Budig first appeared as a Taylor recast, B&B demurred off a story where Taylor allowed. She was dying of heart failure. Ridge was relatively concerned about Taylor when he allowed. He was going to lose her ever. Of course, fresh testing revealed that Taylor was suffering from broken heart pattern rather. That obviously wasn't as serious, but it still left Ridge feeling shamefaced for his part in breaking Taylor's heart and contributing to her condition. Ridge was incredibly probative of Taylor on her path to mending, so how can he conceivably shatter her heart each over again? It would be cruel for Ridge to pull the hairpiece out from under Taylor after making her believe they were going to live happily ever later. Since when has Ridge ever watched about commitment anyway? Ridge is impulsive and has had no problem jumping from woman to woman in the history. Perhaps Ridge is simply reticent to jump back to Brook now because it'd mean crushing Taylor's dreams and devastating her. It could launch another medical extremity for Taylor when she's been doing so well. Ridge may not be willing to do that to Taylor, at least not at this point in the story. It's presumably worse to give Taylor false stopgap, but that may be what Ridge is doing if he's eventually going to surrender to Brook down the road. Whatever the case, Ridge wasn't giving off happy vibes after picking Taylor over Brook. It felt more like Ridge simply allowed. He was doing the right thing, maybe substantially for the sake of Taylor's health. Still, she may figure that out ultimately, if Ridge's true motives for being with Taylor involve guarding her from further medical drama. Taylor's been making prognostications about her future with Ridge, but everything could fall piecemeal sooner or laterly. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Ridge and Brook may not be over for good, so stay tuned for updates on any other major romantic news. Ridge doing what Ridge does and Daphne deciding to go for beggared. The 3 decades of back and forth between Taylor and Brook continue for Ridge. Has there ever been such a coveted man who just can't feel to decide who he wants, but isn't really a prize for either beautiful woman? Surely, Taylor and Brook can do better than that. 2 times agone. They believed the same thing. They were done with Ridge, and it was hugely stimulating. Now, Brook is soliciting for Ridge's love again while Taylor nearly failed from broken heart pattern when Ridge chose Brook over her. When Taylor walks in on Brook soliciting, she gets nervous but holds her own. What will Ridge decide now? Should Taylor be bothered that Ridge is going to leave her again? After all, he only ditched Brook over a misreading, just like the last time. Anything can be, as both women stay with bated breath to see what Ridge will decide, as they've done for most of their adult lives. Perhaps Ridge will do commodity original for a change. Carter may have prayed Hope to stay with him, but she was too hurt to hear. Carter may start to realize that Hope only believed she loved him because being with him allowed her to lord over Steffi. Now, Carter returns to the Forrester Creation Services wondering what to do with the rest of his life. Daphne is there with some answers. Despite spending further time with Zen than anyone differently recently, Daphne finds that she has truly fallen for Carter. With Hope putatively out of the picture, she's ready to make her move on Mr. Walton. Will he be open? After all, they've formerly participated a passionate kiss. Carter might be in the middle of a brand new love before his old bone has officially ended.